guess we're totally live. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. And I think I'm gonna say good afternoon again in a few minutes when quite many people are on for JDTAN's Jaminar. This afternoon we have lined up for you a wonderful person known as Dr. Judith Hines, and she's going to present to us this afternoon, connecting with students in the middle of a pandemic. We're still in the middle of it, in the mix of it. So we're going to hear from Dr. Hines how things are going and what are some of the factors that can affect our state of mind or even our socialization. But we're going to look at that, okay? But I'm super happy to be here on this platform with intellectuals as well as other technical intellectuals, you can call everybody here. We have in the background assisting with technical connectivity, and if we have any issues, cross fingers, Tashika, Miss Tashika Winter, and of course, Miss Kimon Gooden is here as usual. As we would say, good old faithful, but she's not old. Don't get me wrong, everybody, she's not old. She's faithful and good. And the old is like OLDE, old. All right, so we're here with you again. So once again, we're gonna get started in like two minutes. But I want to share with you guys before I do the introduction of Dr. Hines. We have had quite a bit over the past couple of weeks where Jaminars are concerned. We have looked at many different strategies that can help us in the classroom, but also help ourselves too, taking care of ourselves, not just during a pandemic, but even after the pandemic. So you have seen strategies, yes, for classroom. You have seen the self-care where we need to take time to meditate. We need to take time to take care of ourselves in terms of the food we're eating and the places we're going. And also, especially when it reaches evening time, that we're just simmering as we would do in Jamaica with some brown stewed chicken and either rice and peas or plain rice with some vegetable, this simmer. And the songwriter puts it very well. I think it's Bob Marley's first song with the Wailers during the time when he was three Wailers with Peter Tosh. Simmer down, simmer down, control your temper, simmer down. You know, yeah, a long time ago in the 60s. Okay, so the other part, so apart from Jaminar's passing, we have coming up with next week Sunday. It's called Educational Leadership Redefined, Reimagined Seminar, and that one we just put together some really good, very short presentations to get middle managers, assistant principals, anybody in the sphere of education, get them connected to what are we doing moving forward with educational leadership. And keep in mind that even though I'm saying educational leadership, we're looking at classroom teachers as well, because they are educational leaders in their own right. So we have looking at policies. What are the sources of policies? How do we form policies with the community, school and community partnership? The policies handed down from the Department of Education and so on. How do we implement them in different demographics? Because you can't, if you do something in Kingston, it might be different from what you do in the countryside, okay, with the farmers and so on, in those farming communities with the school. Then we look at inclusivity. What does that look like in the new era? And also If strategies are not working in the education system in general and the school, why are we still using them? Why not change it to reflect the signs of the time? So we're going to spend some time talking about that, about 2 hours next week, Sunday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time, because we're in daylight time now, or 2 p.m. Jamaica time to 4 p.m. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. It's really a fascinating seminar coming up. Educational Leadership, Redefined, Reimagined seminar. That's what is coming up. All right, I'm thinking we can get started here with Dr. Hines, a wonderful presenter, and I'm gonna coin a word here, Tashika and Kimon, Jaminarist, she's, or Jaminarist, for this afternoon. So let's get started with connecting with students in the pandemic, in the middle of a pandemic. And our presenter this afternoon is Dr. Judith Hines Henry, and she is over there in Fort Lauderdale. So I'm going to introduce her formally to everybody so that you have an idea of who is talking to you and who is sharing with you this afternoon. Dr. Judith Hines Henry graduated from Lucy Primary School and Russie's High School. I think I'm pronouncing that properly. Russie's Primary High School in Lucy, Hanover. She earned her Bachelor's of Arts with honors degree from the University of the West Indies, and a Master 30 degree, plus 30 degree in English, 60 year from the University of Bridgeport with distinction. So she's not just earning degrees, guys, she is a master at learning. So and I'm going to listen to her too, because I'm thinking that there are things here that I need to learn also. Her doctorate in reading is from Nova Southeastern University. The degrees encompass concentrations in secondary education, reading, and English language. So those are the concentrated areas in her doctorate. Okay. Dr. Judith Hines Henry has taught English language, English language arts and reading at the middle school and high school levels. Her certification includes English for speakers of other language, which is ESOL. ESOL is short for English for speakers of other languages. And exceptional students education, and that's ESC. These are very big. If you're outside of America, they're very big certifications in America that you need to get to service students. Okay. All right. She has done presentations to staff for professional development and presented to teachers from across the United States of America at the National Council of Teachers of English annual convention. She has done these things in 2019. She volunteers and mentors at-risk students, which has led to an increase in the high school graduation rate. She is also an author. Her first publication, Soul Effects, is a book of poems that feed the spirit. And I want to highlight that again because April is National Poetry Month. And I would suggest you go there and get it. I'm gonna ask her to just share a little bit about her book when she takes over from me here. Soul Effects. I'm thinking it's food for the soul. And you can have an idea of what you need to do. Even though we have about a week left in April, there is time that you can go out and get. You can probably get even the ebook online and read some of these poems. It's very good, very, very good. So I want to hand over to Dr. Judith Hines Henry. She's going to talk to us about connecting with students, especially as we go through this pandemic season, calling it season. Welcome, Dr. Hines. Good to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I am currently sharing my screen with you. I tend to be verbose, and because of that, I created a PowerPoint presentation to kind of keep me on track, keep me from going off what we have for today. How is everyone doing this afternoon? I hope you're doing well. So I'm going to talk to you about connecting with students during the pandemic. Thank you again for participating. Before I begin, Dr. Duane just told you that, like himself, I just learned this afternoon that he's a writer. I wrote down his first publication that I am going to go out and get. Unfortunately, mine is not on any platform. I do my own marketing. My book is called Soul Effect. Have it right here. And there are some really good poems in there to feed your spirit. So I'm on to my second publication. It's not published yet, but what I like to do is share a poem from that publication for you that came out of the pandemic, actually. But it's not about the pandemic, but it was written during the pandemic. And I have it on the screen. I was inspired by Langston Hughes' I Too Am America. I Too Sing America. So here is a poem. I Too, it is called, and my pen name is J.J. Hines. I too am a writer. I am the slow starter who struggle with blocks. They tell me my genre is tough to read. They don't reach for poetry books readily. But I am optimistic and I keep writing and get better. Tomorrow, I'll be published. When readers come, someone will ask me, can you sign my book? Oh, well, besides, everyone will see how talented I am and be impressed. I too am a writer. Now, what I just did for you, I shared something about me with you, and this is what I do with my students. I don't share personal information, but I share aspects of my life that will inspire them, whether I want them to write or just to open up and have a discussion. So that's how I generally start out. At this time, I'd like to share with you a YouTube video clip about sharing with students, showing them that you care. This is about 10 minutes long, but we won't do 10 minutes. I just want you to get the essence of it.
You can make as many videos as you want. And you
Sorry about the ads.
Wait, Dr. Hines, share your screen. Come off that screen and then share the video screen. Okay. So unshare and then share the video screen.
Let me see. Okay.
And then share the video.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Are you seeing my screen now?
Perfect.
I'm trying to go full screen. Okay, here we go.
One of the best lessons I've ever learned from my students is that they want caring relationships with their teachers.
Are you hearing? Can you hear?
Yes, yes, it's okay, pretty clear.
They want teachers who support them, who push them, who treat them like individuals, not like test score. And when they know that you care about them, they'll work harder for you, behave better for you, and perform better academically just for you, just because you care about them. Quick story. Last semester, I had a young man who had some difficult times. He was failing all his classes. His mom asked him to go work for a job so she could bring some money in the house, and his girlfriend broke up with him. 20 days before the end of the semester, he decided to stop coming, to quit, to drop out. And it didn't matter how many times I talked to him. I said, man, you're a junior. Your goal line is right there. Keep pushing, don't quit, don't give up. It didn't matter how many times I called to find him a job. It didn't matter that I cared about him, because he quit, a high school dropout. But I was wrong. He came back one day, and that was the day of his final exam. And he came back because he had a goal that he had set for himself at the beginning of that semester. He was going to pass that test. And he came back to prove to me that he could. Now, he missed 20 days at the end of the semester. There's no way he's going to pass that test. I was wrong again. He passed that test. And I remember he texted me. He said, Mr. Jerry, I told you I was going to do it. I passed. Then he told me, thank you for trying to keep me in school. I promise you, I won't make that mistake again next semester.
Okay, so I want to stop there. I want to make the point. How do I stop sharing this now? Just
stop sharing and then go back to your other PowerPoint and share it again.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just use that to make the point that when you build relationships with your students, they will perform for you. That's the point I wanted to make. I'm trying to find my screen so I can share it. There's a PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, so if you ask any teacher why they do what they do, they will agree with you it's not for the pay or not even for job security, although teaching remains one of the jobs that, or should I say profession, that will always be in demand and is considered to be recession proof. The reason we do what we do is embodied in these words: student achievement. This is why we do it. We want to see our students do well because we care. Just to connect with the video. So we expound and we wait for the light bulb to go off. We wait for that aha moment. The measurement of our efforts is reflected in the data. How did the student perform? Hopefully, we want them to go beyond regurgitating the information to applying the knowledge to complete the tasks we assign. So subconsciously or consciously, we teach to a kind of framework called Bloom's taxonomy. And that's one of the frameworks that we use. And this was created by Benjamin Bloom in 1956. And it is held up as a kind of classification of learning outcomes as well as objectives. We plan lessons, we gather resources, and we endeavor to pour knowledge into our pupils. And we encourage them to master the level of learning as crafted on Bloom's taxonomy. It assists in writing question assessment, increased rigor of our lesson. It can help us to simplify an activity, to help personalize the learning. We do this when we're doing project-based learning or if we're doing a group discussion. Simply put, this framework can help teachers teach and students learn. I am sure you all have your own philosophy about teaching and learning, and it differs from teacher to teacher. To enhance student learning, teachers bring different energy level, we bring our own experience, we hold up models as examples. I am sure you have your own philosophy about teaching and learning. Can I pause at this time to ask you, what is your philosophy about teaching and learning? And you can put it in the chat, You can put it in the chat. We'll take a minute or two to review some of what you have put in the chat. Do we have any teaching and learning philosophy in the chat, Dr. Dwayne?
Not yet. So everybody drop in the chat, what is, just simply put, your teaching philosophy, teaching and learning philosophy.
What do you believe?
What do you believe? All right, Michelle Johnson said, a teacher never stops learning.
Okay, lifelong learner, okay. That is so important. We always have to upgrade ourselves to meet the changing needs. Do we have anybody else?
No.
All right, so.
It's coming. All right, another one, Patricia Heath Hales said that when students learn and achieve, I learn and achieve as well.
That's very good. That's very
Another
good.
person, Miss Howell, said teaching with care and purpose.
Okay, all very good philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
In the interest of time, I'm going to continue. Mine is pretty simple. I truly believe that every child can learn. Some will learn the material quicker than others. Some of them, you might have to change the approach. If you have students who are challenged, whether it's a physical disability or a learning disability, you are going to have to accommodate for that. If you have students who are grappling with the language, you're going to have to do something extra for that child. You also have to be cognizant of the fact that we learn in different ways. We have different learning style, and you should be making accommodation for that anyway. But my point is, every child can learn. And then along came the pandemic. And I think this is one of the biggest challenge every educator is facing, this curveball that has been thrown at us. We can no longer rely on the traditional way of conducting business. We are forced to replace face-to-face, chalk and talk. We are challenged to come up with innovative ideas to meet our students' needs. We have to teach on a different platform. So the big question is, what strategies can teachers and leaders employ in order to engage all students in distant learning? So the scenario is, we find ourselves suddenly have to teach from far away. We no longer have our students before us. You can't walk around and say, Johnny, pick up your head off the desk. You can't walk around and say, you had your hand up and you're looking over the child. That does not exist anymore for a lot of teachers. I know students have been trickling back into the classroom, and some schools are open like 100%. But we are thrown in this scenario where we have to teach from a distance, and we are fighting with unreliable internet access. We have students who do not have computer access and students who do not have any kind of connectivity at all. I don't want you to worry about it this afternoon. Not at all. I did a little research. I have you covered. I have a few ideas, suggestions. So for the most part, we have relied on technology to reach students during the pandemic. And based on my research, teachers have been sending lessons to parents on WhatsApp. Parents complain about buying more data to accommodate this. Some of us are using platforms such as Zoom or Microsoft Teams. But it is a struggle. And I think we can all agree that throwing distance learning into the whole mix of education can make connecting with our students more difficult. However, when you connect with your students, when you show your students that you care, when you bond with them, you are bridging the gap and getting your students interested in class and learning is so much easier. I had a young man, I teach high school, and our seniors are like 18-year-olds getting ready to go off to college or the work world. We try to prepare them for that. And I have the seniors suffering from a term that is coined senioritis, which is mean that they're over it already. I just want this to be over already. The pandemic is one thing and senioritis is another thing. And when you put both of them together, it's a struggle. So this young man, he's going off to the military. He's smart enough to get the military to pay for college for him, so that's what he's doing. And he said, Dr. Hines, I don't have the discipline to stay home. Since the school is open, I'm going to come back. So he came for 1 and 2 lessons and then I didn't see him. So online, I'm like, what happened? I miss you. He's like, oh, the senioritis is real. It's a struggle. So, you do have, and students, I can tell you stories upon stories and stories, but time won't permit me. Some of them are taking care of their parents. They're the one going out there to work, but they still need your education. So the question is, how do we reach them? And the reality is this new medium of learning has failed to include a significant percentage of students. And I want to speak specifically of students who do not have internet access. I want to pause here and ask you who are listening, do you have students who do not have internet access? Because here in the United States, the internet providers have made it so that students can have internet access, have given them like a lower rate, sometimes like a month free. But do you have students out there who do not have internet access? You can put it in the chat. So Dr. Duane, do we have anybody with students without internet access?
Yes, everybody is saying yes. It's quite many yeses.
So you are agreeing with my premise that it is significant. And I want to make some suggestion. First of all, I care about you teachers and I want you to breathe. We got to get to the point where we take care of ourselves first and foremost. So if you can just breathe. I haven't been on a plane to Jamaica in a while, but I can imagine the sun, and the sea. So here are some suggestions. What we are in is called a digital divide in the world. And we need to aspire to reach as many students as we can. One suggestion, and this might be in use already, but I'm just gonna say it. You can use a copy machine to put together printed packets for students. These can be dropped off at a central spot in the community. And I think, like I said, this is happening in Jamaica. Does anyone on this chat do this for your students? You put your lesson together in a printed form, staple it, drop it off at a point so that your student can have the lesson in this format. Does anybody do this? Dr. Duane?
Yes. Somebody said it's a struggle. They said it's a struggle.
Is it because they don't have photocopy machines?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Devices or yes, everybody's saying yes.
Okay.
They have done that. They said they have done that.
They have done that. Okay, so that's one suggestion that I have. Like I said,
And Dr. Hines, they said one person said it's called the Learning Kit. So
it's a learning kit. Okay.
yeah, they actually printed them and passed them out in the community and at a central location, and they call them the Learning Kits. And they passed out.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that information. Another suggestion, and again, this might be in use, but it could be expanded, daily television programming tied to the state learning curriculum. I know that many countries, and even in the United States, in the rural area, a lot of people do have television, and they have used, I don't know how they go about getting the spots on television, if it's through their Department of Ed, or in the case of Jamaica, Ministry of Education. But I know they have been using television as a means of reaching students. And my understanding is that the program comes on at a certain time during the day. And some teachers are very innovative. The presenter try to make it interactive. So things like word bingo, they will tell the students ahead of time, tomorrow, Friday, we're going to play word bingo, and the students will have their cards, and she will call out the words and make it interactive. So it's doable. It just means that we have to be creative. So is anyone here, you have students watching the programs on television?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Television and radio.
I was about to talk about radio broadcasts. I remember going to primary school and rushing home during my lunchtime to listen to, whether it was Dulcimina, no, that's gonna tell my age, but rushing home to listen, sorry, not to watch, but to listen, because back in those days, we didn't have television at home, we relied on radio broadcasts. And so if students know that the program is coming on at a certain time, we could also try to use radio as a means of teaching them, reaching them. And I'm hearing that this is happening already. Maybe we can expand this.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yes.
All right, but my feature presentation is on video recording. We can record ourselves teaching, and this is something we do a lot in the United States. It's tried, it's very popular, it's proven. There are several benefits to recording. So video recording can be used as professional development to train teachers. Educators who are interested in improving themselves can record themselves. You can watch yourself teach, and you can use that to improve yourself. If you think about people who are about to give a speech, they don't just come on and just talk. They practice before their mirrors days in, day out to make sure they're stressing the right thing, they have the right facial expression if they're using gestures. So they practice before the mirror. Why not videotape yourself and see how you are doing? You can see for yourself how you're doing. And recordings, when you record yourself teaching, this can be replayed and it can be watched over and over. So that's another benefit. We can post recording so students can have access. So we pre-record ourselves and have the video available. And we do this a lot in the United States. I can't speak for any other region, but in the United, we record ourselves and we make the video available. So if I'm absent from school, rather than just give the students some busy work to do, I could actually record the lesson I would have taught and have it available and have it as a part of my substitute plan. So not only do I have pre-recorded video lessons for when I'm absent, but I can infuse them in my lesson. At the beginning of this presentation, I brought in a video that was relevant to what I was saying. And students' attention span, no matter how exciting the topic is, can be limited. So instead of just talking, you can pull in a video and have the students watch it as a whole class, or have it available for them to watch at their own pace. This will also cover the different learning styles. You know, people learn differently. So when you have a video, you're hitting the students who are visual learners, you're hitting the students who are auditory learners. Sometimes some people have to see the thing to get it, to really get it. And I know, I'm hastening to say that I understand that some teachers may be camera shy. So they might not want to videotape themselves. But remember, the ability to record yourself is not difficult. You don't have to set up a video camera like back in the days. The platform that you are using has a record button. You just have to hit it. Whether you're using Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever platform you're using, it allows you at the touch of a button to record yourself. And I understand also that you might have been told, depending on what region you're in, you might be told by the powers that be that you cannot videotape yourselves. Many educators have YouTube channels with video lessons covering a plethora of topics for all age groups. I have gone on to YouTube, like I did earlier, TED Talk, whatever topic you want. So if you're teaching a lesson and you have been told that you cannot record yourself for the student, don't worry. You can, if you're teaching operations in math or verbs in English, there is a videotape out there that you can use. My point is, you can have these videotapes available that you can share with your students in distant learning. But when your students see you teaching, they may respond more positively if they see you in the video than some person that you picked up on YouTube. I'm just making a point for recording yourself. So the question is, and I'm going to pause here. Have you ever recorded yourself teaching? You may put it in the chat.
Okay, then Dr. Hines, one person said that they used Zoom to record their lesson.
Right, okay. Just like I said, a touch of the button. But let me just hasten to say, for the privacy of everybody on the Zoom, you have to let the participants know that they're being recorded. So you can't just, if it's just yourself you're recording, that's fine. But if you have participants on, whether they're students or otherwise, you have to say you are being recorded. Anybody else?
Yes, quite a lot of people say yes, they're using it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the follow-up question, how is it working? Are your students responding positively to these video recordings?
Okay, some people say they're using Google Classroom to teach you and record and put it in Google Classroom.
Right. Okay. And what is the response from the students?
Oh, that's a good question. One person, Anne-Marie James, said that the teachers are trying everything they can do right now, but the support from the parents is greatly needed, and the attitude of the students need to also change.
Okay. Could you let her know that it's not just her? That is a pandemic in itself. That's worldwide. And I have colleagues like over the world, whether they're teaching in Japan or whatever. It's just, and just the fact that you're not there with them, you know, it's something we are all grappling with. So don't feel alone. Don't feel alone in this. I learned a new term from I learned it on my own and I use it on my students, and they were shocked to know that an old person like me would know the term. It's called ghosting. This is where they log on and pretend to be there, but they're not really there. So I have to come up with creative ways to get them engaged. So they log on to get the attendance and that's it. You know, so
yeah. And one other person, this is very good for many people, and you can elaborate on it too. Early childhood, because not many people talk about early childhood by itself. They always talk about high school or elementary school. But this person said that at the infant level, the students love the videos.
Yes. Not to get too personal, but I have a 6-month-old grandson. And what you said about infants and video, I don't know. They're born with something built in that pull them in. So if we can reach them through those nursery rhymes, it teach them how to count. It works. It works. We have to use what works. I mean, I was one of those who say you can't have the video raising your child, but we can use it in an instructive way. I mean, don't just plop them before it. The good thing about videos, you can pause it. And you should never just let a child watch a video. You pause it and they have to answer question. After watching it for however minutes or seconds, you pause and ask questions. All right. Is there any other comment?
Yes, a very good one. It's interactive lesson. Christine Howell said interactive lessons. So I'm thinking to use the video, just like what you said a while ago, to get the videos to be very interactive is to get the video showing and then ask them questions about it.
Right. And I am aware, Dr. Duane and everybody who is listening, that this is going to take creativity, it's time consuming, the resources and so on. But I started by saying we do this because we want student achievement. All right. It's not for the money, you know, not even that you're not going to lose your job. You want student. So we use a learning system, a course system that supports online teaching and learning called Canvas. So each week I create what is called a module. And when I create those modules, I try to infuse things that's going to incorporate all the learning styles. Videos is one of them, but you can't overdo the videos. You know, you can't overdo it. Let me just say that. So you sometimes even a crossword puzzle based on not just puzzle for the sake of puzzle. I don't do like word search because that doesn't really teach them anything, but a crossword puzzle of something that you are doing, and they can be interactive, I mean, digital. I have used those online. And as I mentioned before, the video recordings, especially the interactive one, the instructional ones, really hit the different learning styles. And you can use a video recording to introduce a concept or to reinforce it. It helps you to get the point across. But again, don't just let them watch it, have some questions that go along with it. And it could be a nice way to break the monotony of a lesson. All right, so there is an essay called A Modest Proposal, written by Jonathan Swift. I'm just going to borrow his title. I want to make a modest proposal. It won't be satirical like his proposal is. I'm proposing to reach students who do not have online access. You need to expand, go beyond copying lessons and even the broadcast to video your lessons. I'm a proponent for that. The lessons can be uploaded to a dedicated website. Someone from the community, whether at the local library where there is connectivity, can download the lesson to a tablet that does not need internet. Yes, there are tablets that do not need internet to play the video. So once the video is downloaded to the tablet, the instructional videos the tablets can be distributed and viewed by the target students. And I did a little research, and here are some examples of some tablets that do not need internet. This is for the purpose of playing the video. So an example I found on Amazon Fire 7 is a 7-inch tablet, but it only has 16 gigabytes. I'm going to address that. There's another example called On. They have two different sizes. There's a 7-inch and a 10-inch. I've included a cost also. The drawback to these tablets is that they do not have large storage capacity. So my suggestion that at intervals, whether weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, those lessons would have to be erased and you upload new lesson. Okay? I repeated it for emphasis, I suppose. Any comments, question about this? Because I'm going to tell you what I can do about these tablets. You're going to like what I'm going to say. Any comments?
No comment at this time. You could go ahead and explain, and then we'll see. People will start dropping in comments.
Okay, so do you understand how this would work? This is my big ticket. So the videos that you've been using, you would create a website dedicated for just uploading videos, and somebody some techie person, techno-savvy person, will upload it to the tablets. The tablets do not need internet to play. I think they're battery operated too. Any comments? Can you see how this could work? But I want to go back because I know a lot of people are focusing on cost.
All right, no much comments yet.
Okay, so let me keep talking. So I thought about it, and we who love our country beyond measure and want to see our Jamaican students do well, to be able to compete on the international landscape, are willing and able. If we can find out who needs these tablets, we are willing and able to raise funds, buy the tablets so these kids can have access to their education.
Someone said that the tablets might not be compatible with Google in Jamaica. But the other people want to hear. It's really interesting and they want to know more.
All right, so how it works is that those same lessons that you have, you would create a website, or somebody who knows how to do it in your school or the community would create that website for you, and you would upload your videos. Your videos would be stored on that website and available to be downloaded to these tablets. Once they're downloaded to the tablets, they no longer need internet to play them. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
So I am from Hanover, as Dr. Dwayne. So if a student up in the hills of Ramble, a rural area in Hanover, does not have internet, we could put a tablet in this child's hand with the video lessons. The teacher creates the lesson, it's downloaded to the video, the child can watch the video, stop, maybe the teacher say, okay, stop now and answer question number 1. It does not replace the teacher, but it is a good substitute. Is it making sense?
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, interesting.
Okay, so there are several nonprofit organizations operating here in the United States, Jamaicans. And if we know how many students need these tablets, we can raise the funds. Because that $50 is not a lot to pay for a tablet. Like I said, the drawback is that the storage is not great. So it will not store all the lessons. It will just store the lesson, I don't know if it's a week, depending on how large each lesson is, because it only has 16 gigabyte. So that's my modest proposal to complement, not to replace, but to complement what is in existence currently. Any questions, any concerns?
No concern. It just, well, there are a few concerns here. One of them, I think, is there is need to be buy-in from the parents, as well as that they would have to come to the school to upload the videos and then take them home with them, and then they'll have to come back to the school to upload the videos again. And so those are two different ones. And the other one is opportunity. Whereas someone shared that it might, it's sort of like uploading textbooks and reading books to the tablet, which means that the paper books would become obsolete.
I'm not proposing that you upload textbooks. I'm proposing that you upload your lessons. The child is still going to need a textbook. The child is still going to need something to write with and something to write on. The video is like you are talking to the child, but you're not there. So I'm not proposing that you upload a textbook. That's going to take up, we don't have enough space to begin with. It's for the lessons that go along with the books. That's what I'm talking about. Is that
there are two questions here. Can the storage be upgraded? If it can be upgraded from a 16 gig or the 32 gig?
I am sure. I would have to do some more research on that. That's a really good question.
Yeah. And the other one is if students can type their responses on there. Like when they watch the videos, can the teacher create a section on there for students to type their responses to questions that the teacher might pose about the video?
I don't think so. Because it becomes just a device for playing the video. If you think of it as the old-time VCR or DVD players, it becomes a device like that. It's just that this is digital. So no, I don't think it will allow for that interaction that you're talking about. No feedback from the student. It would have to be written. Any other question?
All right, so, okay. The other one is, how do we sign up for it? I'm wondering, how do we sign up for what exactly?
For the device?
It's for the device, or it's probably for the device because that's the featured item.
We would have to do a survey based on needs. How many do we need to get? We would have to, this is just to introduce it. We would have to do a survey.
Okay.
I have tried to get information regarding, I wish I had some data to show you just how many students, I tried repeatedly. It's not easy to get information out of Jamaica. You just have to know the right person, I suppose.
Yes.
Any other question? Okay, that's what I have for you today. And if you have interest in this product, then we can have further talk on it. This is not just a idle suggestion. It's something that I researched, and I do believe that it could work.
Okay. I guess quite a lot of people are interested in knowing more about it and see if they can become a part of the initiative that you're sharing.
Right.
I think maybe you could share. You have contact information that they could get in touch with you.
I could give you
More.
my personal email address if that is allowed.
Oh yes. Let us drop. I can drop it in here.
Right.
I could drop it. Just.
Oh, good.
Is it the same one that we use, Dr. Hines?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'll drop the email.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's quick. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Winter. And everybody who is wondering who that voice is Miss Tashika Winter. She's the chair for the Learning and Development Task Force, and she's also a part of the tech support group. So you'll get an email address for Dr. Hines and just see how best all the initiatives can come together for the good of students.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your precious Sunday afternoon. We started out by saying, why do we do this? We're doing it for student achievement.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Hines. I really enjoyed this. And one of the areas that I would look at personally is the ideas of, continue to do personal videos. So imagine your students in front of you and doing the videos from a teacher standpoint, teaching them very short snippets, right, and sending them to students. Right. And quite a few people here mentioned even putting them in Google Classroom. And we have done quite a bit of training in the JDTAN network, Jaminars, on Google Classroom, so you can upload your videos there for students to take a look at what you're teaching. So Dr. Hines is very good. But it also tells you that you don't have to be there all the time. A teacher doesn't have to be in front of a student or students teaching them all the time, right?
Something I heard somebody mention about parents buying in. Do we train parents? Because if we're sending home a video, the parents will have to know how to play the video. Is there anything?
Well, earlier, the ministry, suppose, had some teacher connection, the parent-teacher meetings where they talk to them about using the online platforms to check students' work, check up on homework that they have given, and so on. We in the JDTAN network, we have provided quite a bit of training for teachers and for parents and for students as well to access their homework in Google Classroom, and also for Zoom to get them to come on to Zoom and learn. But more so, we spent quite a lot. I remember Tashika here. She and I spent a lot of time talking to people, training them, doing presentations on Google Classroom, different aspects of Google Classroom, and Google is the Google Suite in general, to get everybody situated in an area where they feel kind of like maybe not comfortable, but a little bit more aware of the different components and how to get in and how to get out, access. It's basically access, providing access for them. So yes, we've been doing well. You know, quite a lot of people are they're very, very excited about the ideas that you shared, and they would love to get in touch with you to talk to you more about the devices to see how
Okay, sure.
can do.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hines. And guys, Dr. Hines is right there in Fort Lauderdale. She's just one plane ride away from Jamaica, in case you're wondering. She is certified. She's a certified ESOL teacher and ESC teacher. And the ESOL is English for speakers of other languages. ESOL. It's a big certification in America. And then you have the ESE certification, and that's Exceptional Students Education certification. So those are two really awesome ones. I'm gonna suggest that we have Dr. Hines come back and do a future Jaminars on these areas here. Where how do you service? Is a question. How do you service students in these areas, especially when you're going through the remnants or in the middle of the pandemic? How do you service them online, or even the strategies that that can be used even if there's no pandemic? You know, the technological strategies that you use, instructions that teach them, as well as if you're in person. So because these areas are very good, very, very good areas. And the reason I'm saying this, Dr. Hines, is because in my experience too, there's not a lot of people with the certification, and when they do, they still struggle with students of a different language, or even exceptional students.
Right.
Yeah, and one of the things I looked at is growing up in Jamaica. We my first language is Patois, Jamaican Patois. So I could be classified as an ESOL student. A student.
Except when you come here, they would not give you service because
Right.
English is considered to be Jamaica's first.
Yeah, exactly.
So you
But
would not get service.
yeah, and then but being in Jamaica, you know, when you leave your house, you have to, okay, I need to speak, and they usually say speak properly, you know, but it's really just you need to speak standard English. So I'm saying it's that I have to learn English. You have to learn it again. So I understand what you're saying. So we're gonna get you back here to do one of those
No
trainings.
problem.
It's really awesome. Thank you so much. And let them know the name of your book again. This
Oh,
Soul
it's
Effect.
called Soul Effects.
Mhm. And you
Um,
tell us about
I
it.
well, Soul Effects came out of years of me just scribbling wherever I could find something to write. If I'm in church and I start getting bored, I'm sorry, I would find some white space in the bulletin
Mm-hmm.
to write. If I'm out at a restaurant, I would be writing on napkin. But it all started when I was growing up in Jamaica. We read a lot because we didn't have electricity, we didn't have television, so we read. Our parents read, everybody read, not just the newspaper, we read books. And even today, I kind of shy away from ebooks. I like to hold a book in my hand. And my dad was a really good storyteller. So
Mm-hmm.
that whole, and going to the library was mandatory. And they had programs at the library that you wanted to go to the library. So we went through the Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, all those books. Even now today, I'm looking at all the books behind you, Dr. Dwayne.
Mm-hmm.
I have rooms of books. Yes.
Yeah.
So
That's very nice.
we read, we told stories, and I'm now writing.
Mm-hmm. That's very good. Very, very
I'm
good.
writing. So I'm working on another book of poetry and a biography at the same time.
That's really awesome. Can you stop sharing your screen so they can see who you are? In a yeah, quite a bigger picture of you. Okay, good. That's good. Guys, this is Dr. Hines, and Miss Winter, did you drop her contact in the chat for everybody?
Yes, it's there.
Okay, can you drop it again in the YouTube chat?
Okay.
For those. All right. So now, since we thank Dr. Hines already, we are going to tell you what's coming up next week Sunday. It's a massive Sunday, and I understand that I think the following Sunday is Mother's Day. So we're talking about next week Sunday, the 2nd of May. Can you believe it? It's already in May. We're starting off May. We're looking at educational leadership, and so for next week Sunday, 2 p.m. Jamaica time for 2 hours, 2 p.m., starting at 2 p.m. We are going to have a seminar, and the seminar is called Educational Leadership Redefined, Reimagined. And that's a seminar, and it's for 2 hours. We're hosting it live on JDTAN Network, and it's about educational leadership from classroom all the way up to making policies and so on. There are three major presentations that are coming up in that seminar. One of them is policy, defining policy. What does it mean to write policy? Where do you get your sources from to write policy? Who are involved in policy? And can policy affect the way students learn? So some of those things we're going to, and much more about policy is going to come out of that. Another one is if strategies are not working in your school or in the system itself, why continue using those strategies? Can we change those strategies? How do we go about changing those strategies? And we're talking about leadership strategies, instructional strategies, even down to your ancillary staff we're looking at. So we're revamping the system in itself philosophically, and try to come up with a brand new mindset, if you will. And the last one that we're looking at is inclusivity, educational leadership inclusivity. What does that mean during a pandemic and coming out of the pandemic? Because one way or the other, this pandemic will end. So we're going to look at all of those in the seminar's theme, educational leadership redefined, reimagined. And stay tuned, there's an article coming out very soon on it, a pendant article, and you're going to get notification soon with the article that you should read and become very familiar with. It's kind of like new ways of thinking, new ideas that we're pushing forward. And as you read, if you can make your comments and suggestions at the bottom of it. But also, you want to register for the seminar for next week as soon as it come out. I think by maybe tomorrow or so, the article will be out. And we have with us Miss Kimon Gooden, as well as Tashega. But Miss Kimon, many of us know Miss Gooden. She is right behind JDTAN, making everything work. For JDTAN, she is like, if you know, when they say you're the hub and everybody else is the spokes in the bicycle wheel, she's the hub of JDTAN, and she makes all of this possible, along with Miss Tasheka Winter. And many of you already know Tasheka Winter as well. She is the chair of the Learning and Development Task Force, and she's also into the technology support staff, if you will. Okay. So next week, we wouldn't call it a Jaminar, it's a seminar. Stay tuned for that. And then there are a bunch of other things coming up later on this year. In May, we have the Early Childhood Commission conference that is coming up. It's a 5-day conference. In May 17th is starting for 5 days. And then we have Diaspora Day coming up in June, early June. Then we have our the education task force. It was slipping over my words here. Education task force, the summit coming up on June 29th, June 30th, and July 1st. So the three-day summit of the education task force. And if you remember last year, it was a massive hit when we went straight online. And this year is going to be even better because we're looking at to pull in what are the things that are working, looking at a whole bunch of self-care and a lot of what do you call it, apps and strategies that work. And some of those you're going to get later on, okay? And then we have our e-learning and STEM summit coming up too in August. So we have a bunch of things coming up always on this platform. Now, later on this week, we have on Tuesday the virtual story time, and it's 7:30 p.m. Jamaica time, as well as on Wednesday this week, we have Edu Talk, and we have the Edu Talk this week is going to be featuring two of our presenters next week, or three. I'm gonna see if the other one will join. I'm kind of reluctant getting three of them because they're busy and they're in different parts of the world. So we're going to feature some of the things that are coming up next week in the seminar on Edu Talk, diaspora engagement, this Wednesday. But you can watch the children or go on Facebook, JDTAN Facebook page, and watch some of our reading or virtual story time. It's really engaging, and I enjoy talking to the little kids about it. And I also enjoy Edu Talk because this is some really good stuff that we're trying to bring across with it's all about mindset. Okay. All right. I know that I've been over time, and I want to thank everybody, technical team here, and Dr. Hines. Thank you so much again. Everybody, please take care of yourselves. Please remain safe and sound. And during this time, please do your best to become more educated. You're never at the top that you can learn something new. Become educated. One last, I'm sharing a very short story with you. Our chairman, Mr. Leo Gillen, he used very practical, used the pandemic to get another degree, literally. He used the pandemic to study online. And if Leo setting that as an example for everybody else in JDTAN or the wider society, we can do some learning too. You don't have to pay to go online and learn something new. You know, fool around with the platforms, mess around with them, and learn something new for your students. Okay? All right, everybody, take care. And we will see you in the week, this week, and then next week, Sunday, for the Educational Leadership Redefine, Reimagine seminar. Walk good, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.